Do you think there was a shift at some point where it kind of clicked and you're like, you know what, I'm not going to let my past be my prologue?
Yes, but I'm always saying that, and then I find some new area where my past was my prologue.
Hi, I'm Lonnie Love, comedian, actress, and Emmy-winning talk show host.
And I'm Erica Montolfo, writer, showrunner, and Lonnie's super fun sidekick.
You sure are, Erica, and thank you all for joining us for another episode. Glad to be back. This is Grown Ass Women Talking. For our Grown Ass topic today, we'll be talking with Tracy McMillan about finding your passion. But before we dive in, let's check in with Erica. Oh, Erica.
This is my favorite part of the show.
I know. What's on your mind, Erica?
Well, you know I have to do a Huxtable update, right?
Okay.
Because I had brunch with the Huxtables. The Huxtables are my parents and my brother, in case you guys don't know. That's my family. And my mom has been very critical of the show. Not critical. Yep. She likes some episodes, but she definitely has her 2 cents every Sunday. So remember we were talking about Diddy last week, because as everyone was. Mm-hmm. And Claire Huxtable, my mom, was like, I don't know why you have to talk about Diddy. I was like, Mom, if we were doing a show about like grown ass news, we have to talk about Diddy. She's like, well, I don't like that topic. And you said you never been to a Diddy party, and she has all my quotes, right? She's like, she knows everything I said.
She's listening. At least she's listening.
She's taking notes. I mean, come on. So she's like, you said you've never been to a Diddy party, but you've been to Hollywood parties. What kind of Hollywood parties are you going to? So can I just clarify?
Check her, moms.
Can I just clarify for Claire Huxtable? I'm talking about when I was young. I went to some Hollywood parties, and I was
88 years ago, moms.
At least. Okay. And when things went down, I would leave. I was a very good girl. Now that I'm a grown-ass woman, I don't get invited to those kind of parties. I mean, Lonnie does. Lonnie's at a party every week.
Don't put me into your mess.
You're at a party every week, which you don't invite me to because I'm never your plus one, but that's a whole
Let me tell you,
issue.
I don't go. Let me tell you something. Whenever they do these parties, people got to understand. You go to the party, right? But there is a certain time during the party that they give you a signal that you need to leave.
Yeah, it's about to go down.
Because if you stay... And one time I was at a party, they was like, everybody take their shirts off, all the girls,
right,
or get out. I was like, take your shirt off. What are you talking about?
Right, exactly.
I'm not taking my shirt off. I almost did because I had this like new bra on, but I was like, no, I'm leaving.
Well, when I was in my 20s, I would have done that, but now that I'm in my 40s, I'm like, oh, but you're not seeing these old grown-ass women boobies. I'm going home. I'm not trying to be topless at this point in my life. But my point being that, listen, at this point, I may get invited to like a gay brunch. Like that's more my speed.
Oh, okay. All right.
Or like I went to the farmer's market this weekend. Like that's my life. So Eric, your girl is not at parties, especially because Lonnie's not inviting me.
You know what? Let it go. Let that go.
Disclaimer. Just to be clear, Erica has not been invited to any Diddy parties. She went to Hollywood parties in her 20s, but her bra remained on. As a grown-ass woman, she only goes to parties for the Oscars, Emmys, and any other irrelevant award show she could squeeze an invite to, plus the occasional gay power brunch.
That's for Claire Huxtable, so she knows for the record that I'm not, taking my bra off at parties.
I remember one time I was at one of those parties, and Monique was with me, the actress, and I'm sitting up here eating my little shrimp, and all of a sudden, Monique just comes over to me, her and her whole entourage, and I'm sitting there running my mouth, I'm drinking, I'm having a good time, and she listens to me, true story, she listens to me, she's like, Lonnie, it's time to go. And I was like, what? And I was like, okay. It was time to go. So I dropped my shrimp, and I'm like, okay.
You didn't take the shrimp with you? You got to take your shrimp to go.
I dropped it. No, the way she said it, it was like, like when she was in Precious, she said it like that.
Yeah.
Like she was like, it's time to go.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay. And so that's what happens. Sometimes when you get the signal, get up out of there. It's
100%.
time to leave.
We've
okay,
all been at those kind of parties.
Well, we love the Huxtables,
yes,
and
love
your
them.
girl is growing. She's a grown woman, mama. So
yes, and behaving herself as such.
Somewhat. So, you know what, guys? Today we have a wonderful episode. We're going to get into all sorts of stuff. We're going to be talking about Ellen DeGeneres' last stand-up, the Janet Jackson debacle. We're going to talk about Kamala and if they're going to have a debate or not. We're going to talk about everything because we're grown-ass women, and that's what we do. And in today's grown-ass topic, we're going to be joined by our friend Tracy McMillan as we talk about finding your passion. We'll get into all of that and more after the break. This is Grown-Ass Women Talking. Are you a grown-ass woman with something to say? What are you unapologetic about? What's got you fired up?
Are you thrilled the kids are back in school? Or are you mad at your friends for asking you out after 9 p.m.? Did you get stood up on your third Tinder date this week? Whatever it is, let it all out.
Visit our website at gawtpod.com and leave us a voice message. That's gawtpod.com, or drop us a voice note at gawtpod@gmail.com. We might just play your message on our next episode.
So don't hold back. This is your space to talk about it.
And we're back with more GAWT. Now it's time for Grown Ass Woman News. Each week, I'll get Erica's take on the week's entertainment news, current events, and news about grown ass women. And I wanted to start off with our girl, Ellen DeGeneres. She has a new stand-up special on Netflix that premiered, and the former daytime talk show host opened up about getting canceled. And during her Netflix special, she talked about going to therapy to deal with the backlash she received following claims of creating a toxic work environment on her daily show. Quote, "I was in therapy for a while trying to deal with all the hatred that was coming at me. I was not a common situation for a therapist to deal with," DeGeneres said. And she said at one point, my therapist said, "Ellen, where do you get this idea that everyone hates you?" And she says, "Well, New York Times, the Washington Post, Entertainment Weekly, Us Weekly,
my wife.
Twitter, everything." Have you been able to check it out?
You know what? I did not see it. I have seen excerpts. And first of all, I love that you and I have this forum because I can say whatever I want and nobody cares, so I'm never getting canceled. You, however, have been canceled 3 or 4 times since we started this.
Okay. Yeah, definitely. Thanks, Erica.
That's why I want to ask you, like, how do you feel? Because obviously you're a comedian as well, and you have to think, or does it color your comedy that you are afraid of getting canceled? Or are you just like Ellen, like at this point, just like, fuck it, I'm just going to say what I need to say?
Well, you know what? I just want to say this because in full transparency, I was on the Ellen show before I did my talk show, The Real. I was a guest DJ for her a number of episodes. And the only thing that I ever saw while we were doing that was just hardworking people trying to get a daytime talk show out there. Yes. And I just want to say that being in the daytime space, everybody mean.
Yeah. Look, being in the nighttime space, everybody mean. Okay? Being in prime time, everybody mean. It's just a lot of work. It's a lot of work, a lot of pressure, and absolutely, you're trying to get something done we're doing something every week in prime time. You guys are doing something every day. That's crazy. I mean, the production schedule is just, just off the charts. So I understand people being short of patience.
Well, and I do want to say this, that the allegations made against Ellen should not be dismissed, but we can afford, I believe, to give her some grace. Sure. I think if you look at the history of who she was as a performer, she was the first performer to come out as gay. That was her first cancellation. And you got to watch her special. It's called For Your Approval. She details everything. She doesn't hold back. She is claiming that after this special, she's going to leave show business, but she got a lot of money.
Yeah, we know. We talked to Kathy last week about all that real estate money. We need to buy some houses, Loni. What the hell?
But her show made a lot of money.
Yes.
She got canceled with the sitcom. Then she was able to make a comeback through that. I think that opened the doors for a lot of LGBTQ people and a lot of situations. And then she got this talk show where she was dancing. She was giving away prizes. It was like Christmas every day.
Yes. Can I ask you this question? I always have to ask you a question. Can I ask permission to ask you a question? Because I think she talks about this on the special. If she had not started everything with like, oh, have a great day and like be good to each other, like, it would have been different. She set herself up as this brand of nicety and, like you said, dancing and everybody's welcome. If she just said like, go and fuck yourselves, like she says in her special, like no one would have had that expectation of her, right? I mean,
no, you know what? I think it still would have happened because I think that we are now living in times, and like I said, being on a daytime talk show where you have HR. I'm the HR for this show.
Which is why we're a mess.
So I have to write myself up. Every week, I got to write myself up. All right. Ooh.
No, you know who writes you up every week or writes us up? Claire Huxtable. Claire Huxtable writes us up every week.
Ceej, our producer, has filed several complaints, and I'm still working those out. It's just been an influx of complaints. But you have to remember that we have this HR department, and that came about because of all of this toxic work environment.
Sure.
And I will say it is needed. But in my humble opinion, when you are dealing in production,
yes.
I think some people do take advantage of HR. I think that there are some people that they run the HR.
Mm-hmm.
And let me tell you something. I've never called anybody out their name. I've never yelled at anybody, especially on this show yet, Ceej. But I have had, when I was on The Real, a couple of reports on me. And this is my thing. Yeah. I was like, what? And when they call you in, right? They're like, we need to talk to you.
Wait. Did I know about the HR? I need to report something right now.
You have to send in your report to me because I am now HR. Okay.
That doesn't seem right.
But when you go to HR, they send you they send you the email. You have to go. And you have to look at this HR lady, and then she tells you like something like, someone gave a report on you, and you're like, okay, what was it about? And all of my reports it was not that I yelled or anything. It was just it's just something about her, and I'm like, what? How is that an HR report? Now, this is the thing that I am, and you know this by working with me, and Ceej probably knows, and our booker and everybody.
Bossy, you're bossy.
I am about business.
Right.
You call it bossy. I'm about business.
Yes,
let's get this
100%.
business done, and then let's play later. And when you're on a daytime talk show the way we were doing 3 shows a day, we would have to make sure, like, if one camera goes down, you delayed maybe 20 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
That backs up the whole day. So all this playing and hee-haw, and I was never mean about it. If somebody want to tell a long story during the group meeting, go ahead. But I'm looking at my book. Why can't I look at my book?
Well, can I ask you another question?
Yes.
I feel like I'm going to be reported to HR right now.
Yes, you are.
Because, again, as a grown-ass woman, do you think that as women, we are held to a higher standard as far as being bossy? Like, it's like we're bitches, we're the B word, we're bossy, we're, too aggressive, whatever the word is, to put us in the bitch category because we are trying to get things done. Like you said, like, listen, I will tell you my quick HR story.
Please. See, thank you. Everybody has an HR story. Tell me yours.
I was on a show, a network show, where I was the number 2 showrunner. I was like the co-exec producer. And the person who was the showrunner was a new showrunner. He had never run a show before. It was a he. He kind of come up through the ranks and got this big show. As things were going on, it was clear that I had more experience than him. This is my take on it, okay? So then one day we're in the room and he was in over his head. The star didn't like him. They were battling. So he was under a lot of pressure. And so one day I questioned something, like some story that he was doing. Like, like, again, we're creating a show. So my whole job is to have story questions or make sure the story works or have, put jokes in, whatever it is. We're solving a puzzle every day, which is what we do. And he was so flustered by me calling him on something that he reported me to HR for insubordination.
That's what I'm talking about.
If that's not like a, grown-ass woman thing where, like, you can't talk because you're showing me up, like, that's what we do. We're trying to have better ideas than each other in this room. But because my idea is better than yours, I'm going to HR.
I have argued with HR so much. And then in the end, the HR person usually goes, just leave. But anyway, check out Ellen's new stand-up special. It's called For Your Approval. It's on Netflix.
That was the best commercial for a special ever.
Up next, Kamala Harris and Donald Trump agreed to do separate Univision town halls. Now, we've been wanting them to do a second debate because that first debate was juicy.
Oh, my God.
But then Donald said, no, I'm not doing another debate. But he has found something that maybe is to his liking. They have both agreed to do separate town halls for Univision as both candidates compete for undecided Hispanic voters.
I was going to say, yeah.
Trump will appear at a town hall on October 8th from Miami, and Harris will appear at October 10th at an event from Las Vegas. And they're going to have the same moderator at both events. It will air at 10 p.m. on Univision. And they say that this serves as a two-way bridge. We'll bring every voice to our community while conveying the concerns of Latinos to those in power. There are more than 36 million Hispanics eligible to vote in the U.S., making them the largest minority in the country with the power to influence the outcome. And this is Hispanic Heritage Month still.
Yes,
they do it from like September 15th to October 15th. So I think this is great. I believe that this is a fair way that you at least get to see both candidates in a different type of town hall. What do you think?
Well, are they going to do it like a side-by-side kind of thing, like a Zoom thing, or are they doing separate?
No, they're doing two separate dates. So his is first.
Okay.
And then Kamala is doing hers in Las Vegas on the 10th. So it'll be two separate ones. I can appreciate the fact that they're appealing to the Hispanic populations, because I think that's important. So good for them.
Yeah, there's a lot of swing voters, I think, in that demographic, because I think it's going to be all about the swing voters. People in the middle, the independents, and a lot of independents are Latino. So they're going to have to make their case, and I'm excited to see it as well.
I just want to see another debate, though, between those two.
So
like,
good.
It's like, come on, really, Donald? Any other time? No, I already did two debates, which he did. He did one with Biden.
I'm surprised he did the one with her. I'm really surprised. I thought he was going to chicken out on that one because he'd already kind of spiked the ball on Biden. You know what I mean? So him to come back, he only was going to lose. There's nothing for him to win.
No, I think he thought that he could get her.
Yeah,
and because remember with Hillary what happened and everything, but
at least he didn't stalk her like he did Hillary.
I know. Remember, he was all behind Hillary. I was like, "What is happening?"
I mean, so was Hillary. She's like, "What are you doing? Gil, get away from me!" Oh God.
So we'll check that out October the 8th and October the 10th. Also in political news this weekend. Oh my goodness, Janet Jackson.
Oh dear, tell me, Ben.
Okay, there was a controversy this weekend because she is on tour in the UK. And she did an article for The Guardian. And in the article, she said that when asked about the prospect of the United States having its first black female president, Janet said, she's not black. That's what I heard. She's Indian. And she added, I was told that they discovered her father was white.
Oh, yeah.
And when she did that.
Oh, God. I can't.
Everybody.
I can't.
They started making memes. They were like, you out of control. You Miss Nasty.
That's a good one.
You haven't done nothing for us lately.
That's a good one, too.
They were just going in. Now, it's important to note that her brother, Randy, has been seen with, RFK Jr., he is suspected to be a Trumpster, conservative. And this talking point is a conservative conspiracy talking point that Kamala is not black.
Right. That's Donald started that, right? Didn't Trump start that? Donald Trump. He started that.
Somebody started it. They over there. They trying to look. They throwing as many punches as they can. Like, look, if we tell the black people she ain't black, that'll make them vote for me.
Because he said it. Remember when he went to the Black Caucus? He said that. He's like, well, I didn't know she was black. She's always been Indian to me. Like, all of a sudden, she's black.
Well, I want to say something. She came on our show, The Real. It was like, 20, when she was running, maybe 2016, something like that. And she's always said that she was black. On the Breakfast Club at the same time, we did a whole article about her blackness. And she says, I'm black. Her father is Jamaican. Jamaican is black.
Well, she went to Howard. She went to HBCU.
The definition of black, because I had to say, let me look this up. Definition of black.
You did your research, unlike Janet.
You know, I try to. I'm trying not to go to HR. Definition of black is a person from the African continent.
Yes.
That is black. So you have to remember that most black people during slavery went either to the Caribbean or they came to the United States. And that is why, you have this influx of black people in the Caribbean. But Jamaican has always been considered black.
Absolutely.
And you look at her dad and you could tell he's black.
Yeah, and you can tell she's black. I mean, there's no, again, identifying, I think, is part of it. Because I do think when you listen to her and like her cultural heritage, she absolutely identifies as black for sure. And
definitely. But this really is what a lot of people were putting that all out on Twitter, on the social medias. They were doing TikTok. My TikTok babies. They was like, wait, hold up. They had all kind of things. So while all that was happening, the next day, shortly after it came out, an apology was issued on the singer's behalf to BuzzFeed by Mo El-Marizi. An Egyptian filmmaker.
You and your names.
Yeah, I'm just looking like how I said. And he's an Egyptian filmmaker who has allegedly worked as a creative consultant for Jackson. And in it, he basically said, she is giving an apology and that Harris's racial identity was based on misinformation. Well, honey, about 3 hours later, Jackson's current manager, who is her brother Randy and representatives for Ms. Jackson confirmed to USA Today on Sunday that he was not authorized, the El Maserati, he was not authorized to make the statement to BuzzFeed. And then he put out another social media post and said, I used to work for them and I got fired because I put that out. I was just trying to help. I added that last part.
Poetic license.
Quick little detour from this. Did you know Randy Jackson got shot by Tina Turner?
What?
Yes, girl. See, this is what happens when you don't have a life. When Loni doesn't have a life, she goes down the rabbit hole. And yes, Randy Jackson was shot by Tina Turner.
Wait, Randy Jackson from the Jackson whatever.
Randy
Jackson from American Idol.
No, Randy Jackson, I'm talking about Janet's brother,
manager,
was shot by Tina Turner. He actually confirmed it in a tweet. This was years ago. And he says, yes, I was shot. I have the scar to prove it. And allegedly, the story is that he's not known to be a nice guy. You can look up his record. He has one record for DV. And I guess his wife at the time went over to see Tina Turner. Now, if you're going to be in trouble, you might as well go ahead and go to Tina Turner. So the story goes that Randy's wife was at Tina's house. Tina told Randy to leave because he came over to try to get her. And then Randy got mad and allegedly threw a flower plant at Tina's house. And then I guess that's when Tina said, what love got to do with it, and took the gun. And the rest is history.
I love that story, first of all. I had never heard that. But good for Tina. I have a huge picture of Tina Turner in my bathroom because she's one of my heroes. But
Tina does not play.
No, and listen, icon, hero, grown-ass woman, icon. But can I just say a couple things? A couple things I want to say about this. Number one, don't let your brother be your manager. I just say that.
Okay.
Let's just get that out of the way. I love my brother, but Theo Huxtable, you're not going to be my manager. Second of all, I was so, because remember this week Pharrell was talking about I don't like when celebrities talk about politics. And I was so mad at him because I'm like, you know what? Don't shut up and dribble us. You know what I mean? People who are in the public eye, they have a platform. If they want to, use it, they should be able to use it. And then I heard this Janet thing, and I was like, okay, maybe that's what Pharrell was talking about.
Now you see why.
Yes.
But she took it back. She has not said anything to date about she's just being quiet about it.
But she should do her research. I mean, that's the thing. Don't come out and say, I had heard, or I heard this is what they're saying. No, you need Google some shit. You know what I mean?
I will say, with all of that said, that I will give her some points of grace. For her not saying anything. I know that her brother Tito recently passed, and so they're dealing with that. And I want to acknowledge Tito Jackson because he was one of the quietest Jacksons, but he was a very powerful force. Him and his sons, they're called 3T. They had a group, Terrell, TJ, and Taj. They did this foundation every year for Halloween in the benefit of their mother, Dee Dee Jackson, for her foundation. And that's where I got to meet Tito Jackson. He was always a kind man. And he actually put me in his music video.
What?
It was called For Love. Yes.
You were a video hoe? No, I'm kidding. Video vixen.
No, I was 2 seconds in that damn video. 2 seconds in that video.
Ronnie's twerking in the Tito video.
But I will say that, these are very trying times. And when you have a platform like Janet's, you do have to be aware and careful of it because there's so many people that look up to her. And, it's just that it is what it is. But she hasn't said anything, but she has not apologized for her statements. So
yeah, well, grown-ass women need to be responsible, like you said. So
definitely. And lastly, CBS has added 3 new casts to the new daytime soap opera Beyond the Gates. Beyond the Gates is a majority black cast soap opera that has replaced The Talk. And they were mad over there at The Talk.
I'll bet.
They got till December, and they hike them up out of here. And actually, this is a collaboration. This black daytime soap opera is a collaboration between CBS and the NAACP. The NAACP has done some type of deal with CBS to bring on more black programming. They actually got sponsorship from Procter & Gamble. I just want to read a little bit. Beyond the Gates is created and it serves as this opening feel between the partnership of P&G Studios and also NAACP and CBS. So will you be watching?
Well, first of all, I don't know what black soaps are because that's like black jobs. Because I will say, when I was growing up, we used to watch soap operas all the time. My grandma, our grandparents would take care of us when our parents were at school or whatever or work. Mm-hmm. And my grandmother watched all those shows. And remember, I remember she watched what did she watch? All My Children. And they had Jesse and Angie. They were black. That was the whole thing. It was we watched Jesse and Angie and their love affair and blah 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 blah. So I don't think there's anything new. But I will say I think it's very smart because again, all our grandmas be watching soap operas back in the day, and now there's going to be a whole new audience for them. Black women be loving some soaps.
I think it is going to be 2 years, and I think it's going to No, and I'm gonna say, I'm just
Why
gonna
you
put it
say
out
that?
there. I hope it doesn't happen, but if it's just P&G Studios, they're not gonna be able to fund this for.
You don't think?
No, they're not going to be able to. From what I'm hearing, the word on the street is that it's like $1 million an episode. They're not going to be able to.
Really?
Yeah. That's what I heard. Like, allegedly. Let me protect us.
Wow.
But if that's the case,
don't do a Janet on us and get us in trouble.
And I kind of feel bad that they, canceled the talk.
Yeah.
Because the talk was another vehicle that had minority people on it and people of color, and there are a lot of people that need that promo, but it is what it is. So
I feel like they think that probably there's so many talk shows, it's like it's just too many, so you need to try to throw something else against the wall, you know what I mean?
But there are a lot of soaps.
I thought they were canceled most of them.
They need
like
to put
one or two.
As long as they put Victor Newman. Victor Newman.
Now you're showing how grown-ass you are.
Ooh, Victor Newman. If you follow him on Twitter, he be talking mad shit. Victor Newman don't care. He going in on people. I'm like, that's Victor Newman right there.
I gotta check that out.
Moving on. Our girl Christina Aguilera celebrated the 25th anniversary of her self-titled debut album at the Spotify Music Studios in Los Angeles this week, and took the opportunity to collaborate with Sabrina Carpenter and Machine Gun Kelly. And she brought out Sabrina. Did you see Christina Aguilera?
I didn't see it, but I can't believe it's been 25 years. How freaking old are we?
Well, first of all, she don't look like... I don't know if everybody on Ozempic, because she don't even look like herself anymore.
Everybody's
seriously.
On Ozempic. I told you to go get you. I told you to get your undermarket Ozempic because you were famous. You can get it if you want it.
I can't find it. I can't get it at all. I don't know where.
Listen,
you're gonna be my dealer.
Yes,
all right, Puffy Jr.
Claire Huxtable, do not listen to this. I'm not dealing drugs. I need another disclaimer. Erica's not dealing drugs.
Hi, it's me again, Mrs. Huxtable. Erica really wants to drive home the point that she does not deal drugs or attend ditty parties. On Sundays, she goes to the farmer's market and then goes to brunch with her family and loving mother. Lonnie is probably at a premiere somewhere.
She is sitting on the couch. There is, with her and Sabrina Carpenter. First of all, she sounds magnificent.
Yeah, her voice has always been great.
But her look is totally, totally different.
Yeah.
I mean, she really has been putting in the work. And,
Ozempic.
Oh, well,
you don't know.
Hey,
listen,
it's been 25 years. You got to do, grown women got to do what grown women got to do to stay on top. And she's
Kelly
staying on top.
Kelly Clarkson says she does it, so
Oh yeah,
she's got that voice too. So,
but can you believe 25 years?
I feel so old, but I will say on a similar subject, like I watched Demi Lovato has this new documentary called Child Star, and she interviews all like not Christina, but like all the people from like Mickey Mouse Club and like Kenan Thompson, and those kids. I mean, the fact that Christina is even still here and alive at 25, do you know what I mean? And still has her whole mind and her voice. Good for her, because that's not an easy road. Being a child star.
Definitely. And I also want to give a special shout out to T.I. and Tiny. They won a whopping $71 million judgment at the OMG Girls trial. The dolls.
What?
Yes, honey. The Oh My God girls. They look just like their daughters that they patterned them after. And so they brought on this lawsuit. They had lost it twice. And the third time was the charm, because they were able to get this jury award. It was it's $71 million. Wow. They say that the toy maker MGA violated the intellectual property rights of the teen pop group. That it was wildly popular, and they did a whole line of dolls. And when you look at the group, that T.I. and Tiny's group, the dolls are just like that group. They look exactly like it. And they've been fighting this for some years. And they finally won. They got a whopping $71 million judgment. So congratulations to them. I'm like, whew, somebody needed. We're going to take a break. And when we come back, we're going to jump into today's topic with Tracy McMillan. Woo! Oh, I'm so excited for today's guest. She is a multi-hyphenate in the truest sense of the word. Her essay entitled Why You're Not Married became the most viewed article on the Huffington Post ever. She has written multiple best-selling books, including her memoir, I Love You and I'm Leaving You Anyways, and Why You're Not Married Yet. It's a funny, honest, and insightful guide to relationships. In addition to being a best-selling author, relationship expert, and TV host, she is the creator of one of my favorite shows. She's the creator, executive producer, and co-showrunner of the Honest Collective's hit dramedy, Unprisoned, starring Kerry Washington and my man Delroy Lindo. The second season premiered this July on Hulu. Please welcome my girl, Tracy McMillan. Hey, Tracy.
Hello. Hi, thanks for having me.
How you been? You've been busy.
Busy, I embrace it. I'm like, yes, thank you. And I'm willing to embrace even more. That's what I was taught, and that's what I practice.
I love it. And I'm so happy for all your success. And you've always been a supporter of me. So I thank you for joining us today. Right, Erica?
Yes, girl. Thank you for being here. I love a female showrunner, a co-female showrunner.
Very rare.
There's not enough of us.
Exactly.
That's right. That's right. You know what it's about.
Oh, honey.
Well, let's jump into today's grown-ass topic. We're diving into finding your passion. As grown-ass women, society has assigned us a lot of roles, a lot of should-haves that we could have been told to follow. But what is it that we want to do? We are often forget to ask ourselves what drives us, what lights us up, whether it's being a multi-hyphenate professional, a loving mother, or chasing the dream of becoming a star on OnlyFans. Whatever it is, the world is yours, and it's never too late to find and pursue your passion.
That's
Tracy,
right.
Let's start with you. What is your passion, and how did you find it?
I think my passion, the joke answer is my passion is what I've always gotten in trouble for doing. You know what I'm saying? Like, I would always be in some workplace. So before I got to writing television and books and all that, I worked in television news for 16 years. And before that, I was in college. And before that, I was in high school. And what was I always in trouble for? I was sitting there talking to you about your life and your relationships and what was going on with you. And, I sort of felt that my ministry in the newsroom was to help people with their relationships and then write the news. That was just like the secondary reason I was there. So I'm like, what would you do for free? What would you do all day long? When do you lose track of time? When do you feel most useful? These are how I found, and what it was for me was relationships. How do I help people do relationships, heal their generational trauma, heal what's going on so that they can have a healthy, functioning, secure primary attachment, And everything I've done is toward that end.
But how long did it take you to figure that out? Like, around what age did you figure that out?
Well, I'm going to say, what age did I allow myself to dream that could be my all day, every day? You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
It's like, I've been knowing that's what I love to do, but I always thought I had to have a thing over here, which was how I made money, and that I had to have two parts. But each thing was like building, because I'm thinking about when I had my baby and I was 32 and, I had been in foster care, grown up. I didn't even know the level of attachment wound I had until I had a baby. And then the work that I had to do to sort of put Humpty Dumpty together again, because there was nothing there. I had been put in foster care at the age of 3 months. All right. So I had a mother for 12 Saturday nights. Now, nobody is giving up their baby when it's going great, right? So that means those 12 Saturday nights were not good. So I was like, how am I going to do this? There was no parenting 529 to dip into to be my son's mother in the beginning. So I had to fill that up. Well, in the process of filling that up, I realized I sort of had a talent for understanding relationships and seeing how our developmental stuff as babies, but also as a mother parenting, was the same thing that was happening in my relationships. I'm hetero, so in my relationships with men. And so once I started making all those connections, then I started just sharing it with other people. So there's two things about that. One is you teach what you need to learn. So if anybody's out there teaching you something, this is what they most need to learn. Not they got it, more like they're trying to get it, right? So that was one thing. And the second thing was, as I grew myself, I moved deeper and deeper into what it was that only I could do. Because you want to find, what can only I do?
Yeah.
That's like purpose for me. Like, I'm uniquely situated to do the work that I'm doing in terms of helping Black families heal from generational trauma. Because I've lived it. You know what I mean? I just look at mass incarceration and foster care as, the same mechanisms of slavery that we are trying to release ourselves from. That's why I called the show Unprisoned. It's about trying to get free. So, my dad is in prison for years upon years upon years, marking hash marks on the wall. Well, I'm in foster care marking hash marks on the wall. Those two things go together, So as I healed that stuff in myself, it became a thing that I could offer to other people too. And then as I kind of followed my nose, I did not have a grand plan. I just sort of did what I was most passionate about. And then I also learned how to do what people told me, not because they were telling me to do it, but because I always saw a little tinker bell, sometimes you're talking to somebody and the little bell goes off and it goes ding-a-ling-a-ling. And you're like, oh, I'm supposed to do that. And I didn't ask questions. Can I do that? I stopped all that. I don't take orders from my mind. My brain is an employee. It is not a boss. You know what I'm saying?
You're different, Tracy.
I guess so.
You special. See, because with me and Erica, I think I'm still trying to find my passion. Erica, what's your passion?
Well, I was gonna say that's such a unique superpower to have, Tracy, because I think coming from your background, especially, you could have become a people pleaser. Do you know what I mean?
And for a while I was.
Yeah.
Sure.
And I think a lot of us as women are. Whether it's daddy issues, to your point. My father's adopted as well, but he's become a very wonderful leader of our family, maybe to your point of trying to undo the things that he didn't have. Do you know what I mean? So people who've gone through certain things and either lean into them and make them a crutch, or they can make them their superpower and overcome them. And I think that's so impressive that you've done that, whether it's been over time or not. I think for me, to answer your question, Loni, I think there's the art of the pivot. That's what I call it. So for me, I, went down a road of, going to college. I went to UCLA and I was going to, be maybe, my parents are very bougie, as Loni always jokes with me. So, there's expectations there. And so, I did all the school and graduate school. And then I'm in a cubicle at 25 going what the fuck am I going to do?
Exactly.
I can't do this the rest of my life. You know what I mean? And so the pivot to writing, even though I grew up in LA and was so anti-Hollywood, because to me, writers were what does that mean? But the minute I was in a writer's room, the first day, I was oh, this is my shit. This is me. Yeah. This is what I'm supposed to do. And so I was lucky to find it at a time where I'm I can do this. And this is going to drive me. This is what I want to do. Like you said, this is me getting in trouble in the back of the class when I was a kid talking all day. You know what I mean? This is my jam. And so then, things have happened. This career is not an easy one, as I'm sure you know, Tracy. We all know. We have to, even though we love it, I mean, the writing part is great.
Exactly.
The people part is different. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So depending on what room you're in, it could be heaven, it could be hell. So, to navigate this is a whole different thing. But as things go on, you still have to practice the art of the pivot. So Loni and I, for example, are doing this podcast because we were on strike. So, pivoting to the podcast of it all is another thing of following your passion. Does your passion have to be in a certain format? No, it's us telling our stories. No. And now it's like we're telling it on a podcast.
That's right.
Yeah, but Tracy, this is the thing. I was looking up finding your passion, and we're trying to help, especially grown-ass women. Mm-hmm. What would be your advice for a grown-ass woman who maybe is feeling down, who doesn't feel like they found their passion right now? What would you tell them?
Well, I'd say all my expansion is always about my personal something I had to conquer personally. So I would go to, like, as a writer, I always tell people, write about what you're trying to hide from everybody. Write about what you don't want anyone to know about you. Like, where is that? That's where you are going to have the most to give, in that place that you're most afraid of. And as you work through that, as you work through whatever that is, the thing that you're most afraid of. Now, I'm hearing you, Erica, and I'm thinking, like, I didn't have any parents, not really. I mean, my dad's in prison. I don't have a mom. That was kind of a great thing in this one way. There were zero expectations on me. I could surpass my expectations because the bar was on the floor. Do you know what I mean? All I had to do was step over the bar. I'm like, woo, woo, look at me. So I think you go to where your deepest wound is. Yeah. So I would start there and then either give from that or heal that, and then watch as you focus on expanding yourself in that way. And there's always going to be a belief in there. This idea that there's something you can't do or you're not enough or whatever, that's what in the psychology game is called a schema. It's like, you are going to bring that belief. Look at the beliefs that you have brought to every single situation. This is the beauty of middle age. It's like, I'm going to be 60.
Oh my God, you look great.
Right now.
You look fucking great, sis.
I mean, what?
Come on now.
Oh my God, 60 goals for sure.
That's the success money. That's the showrunner money.
There is a little of that. No lie.
I mean,
but I do think that the beauty of middle age is, like, time has told. Like, you get a body of data to look at. Like, what did I believe at every step of the way?
To that point, do you think this was who you've always been, or do you think there was a shift at some point where it kind of clicked and you're like, you know what, I'm not going to let my past be my prologue?
Yes, but I'm always saying that, and then I find some new area where my past was my prologue, and then that to me is not a sign of my defeat or my sure, like, this is the truth about me. That is a sign of, oh, yay, I made it conscious now. Now I'm aware of it. Once you see it, it starts to break up. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. It's like the minute you name a thing as what it is, like, oh, that's a pattern of belief. That is not a governing truth. Because guess what? There are no governing truths. I mean, gravity, but, like, other than that, you can make yourself up. Do you know what I mean? Right. And most people don't believe that because there's so many people around them, or circumstances, or institutions, or oppressive systems that tell you this is all there is. But you have to be able to think past that. I always look at the example, or my metaphor is like a dog. God bless dogs, right? Yes. But every day they bark at the mailman. Every day. They're like, he's going to rob us. And when you start to see those parts of yourself that are automated like that, you finally get to go, it's just the mailman. I'm just going to chill out and let him go. But at first, the feeling's going to come up for maybe a couple years.
But see, that's so on point, because I think, again, as we become more grown, we're not afraid of the truth of who we are. You know what I mean? Like, before, like, oh, let's put that in the closet. I don't want them to know that I did this. And now it's like, you know what? Here I am. This podcast is so much about that, especially for me, because Loni will tell you I get in trouble every week for saying something and my mom gets mad at me. Because I'm just, like, out here, telling my truth. And I would never have been able to do this, like, in my 20s, where I did have parents who were like, oh, you've got to do this, you've got to do that. Now I'm just like, you know what, Mom, don't listen. Like, this is not for you.
Especially in our culture, we were always, I know for me, I was brought up with a single mother, Tracy. And it's like, it's just certain things you don't talk about. it's certain things you don't say. And when you put those type of restrictions on a young person, that helps you not find your passion.
That's so true.
And so you have to, unlearn all of that. Just like what you were saying about your show, Prison, it's like these traumas that we have. We need to identify those traumas because, we want to live our best life. They say that finding your passion can involve self-reflection, exploration, and trying new things. And sometimes as we become grown-ass women, we don't want to try new things. I try that sexual position, girl.
Yeah.
Try that different type of drink. Go on that trip by yourself. Because that allows you to have that self-reflection, So I want to go back. It's like, how hard was it when, coming up with the show Unprisoned to really, not be ashamed of who Tracy McMillan was? How hard was that?
Yeah. Well, I feel like by the time I was doing Unprisoned, I'd gotten pretty used to it. I first started doing it when I first came into a Hollywood career. Like, here's the thing though, I was 42 when I got my agent, right? So I was already grown ass. So I made this huge life transition, career transition in my 40s. So suddenly I was like, you know what? I'm going to tell all these Ivy League motherfuckers exactly who I am. Like, why not? Got nothing to lose. Because in the olden days, I would have been like, they went to Harvard. You know what I mean?
Right,
or I can't tell them that. Or I'm less than. Or I had all these ideas. And what I started to see is I'm like, well, yeah, my dad was in prison and my mom was a prostitute and I've been married 3 times. And then, of course, they're like, this is the best meeting I've had all day. You know what I mean? Because they are used to hearing people like, I went to an Ivy adjacent, I got straight A's, and then I got some more A's, and now I've been doing everything right ever since. Like, that is the path of a lot of women, certainly coming up in my time, 17 years ago in the television business. These are ladies, God bless, who have never made a mistake.
According to them. I mean, come on.
Well, yeah, yes, and there's a lot of optics managing, but honestly, I met a lot of women. I'm like, damn, you've done every single thing right. And like, what are you going to write about?
Right.
Like, what are you going to write about? Your 20s, So I'm not saying anything's bad. I'm saying when I brought the real me to it, I quickly got rewarded for that.
Absolutely.
So it was kind of easy.
Yeah, adversity is a huge part of being a writer, 100%. I always say I became a better writer after my first divorce, for sure. Like, cause before then, you're right, I didn't have anything to talk about. What, going to UCLA and growing up in LA?
I think taking risks is a huge thing, Lonnie. You made a huge point. It's like, I just am willing to take more risks than other people, probably because I have less to lose, and somehow I'm good at that. Like in the pandemic, so I met my husband on a plane, and we started becoming pen pals for many months, and then the universe was like, "Hold my beer, I have a pandemic." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then suddenly, I was like, I came to Ohio sight unseen. Okay. In my mind, I was like, I'm just going to write a modern love column out of this. This is just going to be my modern love, where I met the man on the plane. And then I drove 750 miles from Minneapolis, where I was living in the pandemic, where my show is set, where I'm born and raised, to Columbus, Ohio, where I've never been. And I was like, such a great idea. And I'm like, yay, this is going to be so fun. Oh, this is going to be great. And then as the signs are going down, Columbus 129, Columbus 77, Columbus 42, I'm like, girl, what were you thinking?
Yeah.
But guess what? Now I'm married to him.
Wow.
And I wasn't married to him like I jumped off a building married to him. I was in a relationship with him so steady, so deliberate for 3.5 years. Now that is growth for me. 3.5 years before we got married. I'm like, that was not anything I could have ever done.
Yeah.
So what was that for me? That was being willing to be in the unknown. The reason I was the victim of love bombers is because I couldn't have uncertainty. So when the love bomber comes in and says, I got your whole everything, I was like, sign me up. Even though, bad idea. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So being able to live with risk, being able to live with uncertainty, this is how I think, because once you get in the realm of passion in that way, you almost need to deal with it by being extremely deliberate, very self-reflective, super intentional, like just excavating in a very methodical way. And I'm a Virgo, so that is kind of comes naturally to me. But so these are the things that I would say were the keys to me, really fulfilling like my truest thing,
You went outside your comfort zone.
by 1,000. Yeah.
It sounds like you have a lot of self-reflection. Did this all come to you, or was there a therapist? Was there a girlfriend?
No, there's been like 9 or 12 therapists. I've had as many therapists as I've had boyfriends or husbands. No.
Same.
But that is key. What I always want to say is like, guess what? Therapy works. Look at the life I'm living. Like,
I mean, you're living a great life.
Yeah. Most people with my background, they're like they're dead almost. You know what I mean? At 60, they didn't even get this far. Only 1% of foster children graduate from college. Like, that's the other thing. Get out of odds. Odds are bullshit. Odds are real when you're in them, but they are not. If you want a bigger thing, you're going to have to go past anything you currently know.
I tell people that all the time, especially about my career. I'm like, I'm where I am career-wise because of my naivete. Because if I had done the math on how, against all odds, I would be here where I am 25 years later in this career, I would never have done it. So yes, do not even pay attention to, the fact that this is crazy that we're here right now. Like, someone's got to be here. Just do it. Just keep your nose down, do it. And like you said, follow your passion.
Another suggestion for the ladies out there, the grown-ass women, is to try new things, take classes, explore new topics, set aside your comfort zone, seek guidance. Like we said, if you need a therapist, mentors, you are never too grown to be able to get someone to help you in your situation.
Can I shout out mentors? I think that's mentors to me have been a huge, I don't know about you, Tracy, but like women in this business, they have a bad rap for like, there can only be one of us. There can only be one black woman. There can only be one black woman show. But I have had so many wonderful women who have mentored me, and I try to pay that forward by mentoring a lot of young writers. And to me, that's a passion of mine now because it's fulfilling to me. So yeah, I mean, do you feel that way? But from people who've helped you kind of navigate this world?
I'm like, I don't think that's been my experience, to be honest. I feel like I've, God, I don't know. That's a great question because I've had different pieces to it. Like I've been a staff writer for like 16 years. Do you know what I mean? I was like the person you hire on your staff to talk about relationships and know shit about how people kind of work. And I feel like a lot of, as a writer, it's been about having a niche and really being able to offer that to somebody. Part of what I say in this business is that nobody is going to do you a favor, and that's how it should be. Everybody's going to help themselves. So just be the entity that has got something that's going to help other people and make their dream come true. Like my thing was, I saw early on, everybody wants something. Like literally everybody, every executive, every writer, every director, they all want something. And I was like, I'm going to offer them the something. I'm going to walk in and go, what do you want? All right, let me be part of that dream, I also think like I used to go to Agape and Reverend Michael used to say, if you can think it up, that ain't it. Because, because whatever is your highest yet to be, you can't see it from right here. So don't think you're supposed to know. You're not. That's okay. You just head in a direction.
That's why every time I pitch something, I can't sell it because everybody that came up with it, I'm like, it's like every time I pitch something, they're like, yeah, we heard that one. What's a twist on it?
It's true. A good idea is given to multiple people. It's given to 100 people, and not every person can carry the ball over the line. And then I just rest in that. I'm like, okay, that one wasn't for me, or okay, that assignment's done, or okay, I accept that, and then I just know, all right, whatever it is next, I might not even see it from here.
To that point, I think you're very authentic, obviously. So are you, Loni. And I'm a very unique kind of voice as well. And sometimes you get met with the resistance of the opposite of what you're saying, Loni, which is, to me, it's like, oh, well, can you come in with like some urban quote unquote,
Yeah,
comedy,
some
and it's
sassy.
like some sassy black girls, and I'm
Yeah.
like, no, I'm bougie as fuck, and I like grew up in LA, and like this is my voice, you know what I mean? And so I just reconcile that one day that voice is going to be ready to be heard. I can't
That's
give
right.
you a different voice. I'm not going to make up some like girl from Chicago who was like, or whatever, you know what I'm saying? That's not me. So when you're ready for my voice, I'll be here.
Yeah.
I have a question, Tracy. Do you practice what type of religion or faith or mindfulness?
Yeah.
Do you practice?
Yeah, I'm a big mindfulness person. I would say the closest thing to an organized religion that I've practiced is science of mind. So, but science of mind is like from the 30s, and it's really kind of like the basis of like manifesting or whatever. But it's more like, to me, God is all that there is. Like, I have a very strong faith. I always go back to, and I was raised in a Lutheran church. My main foster family was a Lutheran minister. My McMillan family is literally an entire long ass, since like the 1860s. They founded a church in Midway, Alabama. Some McMillan has been the minister of that church all along. So I also believe in like gene expression. You know what I mean? Like, we're just being who we are. Like, so yeah, I have a very strong sense of God, but God to me is not an entity in the sky. It's what is highest.
Mm.
It's like, what is the organizing principle? That is God, you know? So my favorite idea of God is the alignment. And I see the alignment everywhere. Anytime I'm like, oh, I thought of that person. Oh, they called me. I'm like, good, I'm in the alignment, you know? Oh, I took that risk. Oh, it paid off. Good, I'm in the alignment. I can trust the thoughts that are coming into my brain from, up here, not from fear or, you know, the consciousness of like social, like, what are they doing? Or, what do they think? Or, what I mean? It's like, there are levels of consciousness, and the highest one is God. And so I'm like, let me just plug in up there and try to see what's going on here, as like, it gets noisy. There's a lot of static. There's a lot of bullshit, a lot of ego, a lot of people's fears, a lot of Trumpian type shit, you know what I mean? But then you look at like, anything can happen anytime. And I mean, where we are politically is a perfect example. Like, who would have predicted that in 1 week
I
the
know.
whole fucking thing would change? You're like, that's God to me. God can do anything, anytime. So,
And I just think that is a good way to sum up this whole conversation with you, Tracy, because of the fact that, you are a great example of a grown-ass woman who has been through trials and tribulations. You're a great example of how to overcome that. You're a great example of a person who has found their passion. And we really appreciate you taking time out, because people can learn so much from you. And before we let you go...
Can I say one more thing that she's an example of?
No, you can't. No, go ahead, Erica.
See, this is the dynamic. That's my girl. I think you're an example of, you're not a product of your circumstances. There are people who use their circumstances as an excuse, and you have used them as something to propel you, which is so impressive to me. So
my circumstances are Simone Biles's bouncy, jumpy
100%.
before she starts to go up.
Absolutely. Do your dismount, girl. Dismount.
That's right. Let's nail the landing.
Yeah, stick that landing. I love it. And
I love it.
It's very impressive. So thank you for sharing your story with us.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Before we let you go, though, we need to know more about Unprisoned for those that have not checked it out, because it's a wonderful show.
Yeah. I mean, it's my life experiences, all those years my dad was in prison, 19 years, and I was in the TV business for a lot of them. I started thinking about story, and I started thinking about, what is going to happen when he gets out of prison? How am I going to deal with that? And so, I just put it into a show, and I always sort of imagined that my dad would come live with me. He never did. probably because I have really good boundaries, and it wouldn't have been appropriate, honestly. I had a young kid, and, I mean, I don't know. The way it unfolded, life is crazy. Do you know what I mean? When I say crazy, it's so unpredictable. You don't know what's going to happen. But so part of writing is to like control all the circumstances. That's my world. I made it up. You know what I mean? And I get to say what happens in that world. And I wanted to explore my dad getting out of prison in a way that I could control, because clearly I wasn't going to be able to control it in real life. And I feel like that's what Unprisoned is all about. It's all about, how do I actually do it? How do we put a family back together? How do I forgive? How do I imagine something different for myself? How do I set myself free?
I love it.
That is, you know what, Tracy, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
And for our listeners, be sure to check out Unprisoned Season 2, now out on Hulu. And when we come back, we're going to get into the takeaway with me. This is Grown Ass Women Talking.
Okay, now it's time for Lonnie's takeaway. Lonnie, what did we learn today?
I need to learn how to work my camera. Because it zoomed halfway through the damn interview. So if y'all see this big ass face, it's because I don't know how to work the whole. And I didn't want to stop the interview with Tracy because she was just so good. We brought this up about finding your passion because I think as grown-ass women, there are a lot of women I know that they're just living life. And when we say finding your passion, is more than just every day living your life. It's about actually being able to wake up in the morning and be happy about something. And so, in order to do that, you have to follow certain steps, or, understand the self-reflection is important. Mindfulness, or whatever your religious practice is important. Trying new things, stepping out of your comfort zone. Okay. Doing this podcast in the corner of my kitchenette is an example of finding my passion. Yes, the camera may not work all the time. Yes, the wig may not be all the way glued down. But you know what? I am doing this because I love our listeners. I love our followers. And that's what you do when you're doing your passion.
Me too, right?
I did not say that. But just make sure they understand when you're trying to find your passion. I'm trying to say it's not going to be perfect. It's not going to be easy breezy. It's going to be ups and downs, but you keep going. You don't stop. You keep going until you have that feeling in your heart and say, you know what? I did okay.
Even if your camera zooms in too fast.
It came all the way in.
I think I saw some nose hairs that need to be
plucked.
I was
like, what is happening?
It's like
you know what?
Close-up.
Any final words, Erica?
I love you.
I love you too, Erica.
I love your big head and all.
You know what? And we love you all out there. Thank you so much for joining us for another episode. Look at this. It's doing it again. A Grown-Ass Women Talking. Please follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. Leave us a little 5-star rating. And don't forget to follow us on Instagram, Facebook, or YouTube at GAWT Pod. Thank you again to Tracy McMillan for joining us. Check out season 2 of Unprisoned now on Hulu. And it's really trying to tell me that my lace front is not glued down. This camera, seriously. We'll see you all next week with a new camera.
Hopefully. Grown-Ass Women Talking is a collaboration between True Love Productions, Dunnigan Lane Productions, and HARQ Media Productions. Our executive producers are Lonnie Love, Erica Montolfo, and Ceej Polkinghorne.
This episode was produced by Ceej Polkinghorne and edited by Nicholas Crawford. Our music is by Cole Curtis. Special thanks to Elizabeth Munch